Right on time.
There she goes.
There we go. All right. There she is. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I got Dr. Wright on here along with, is it Angie?
Yes, Angie
Angie.
Garza.
Angie is on. I met Angie when I came out there one time and visited the facilities out there, and she was sitting back over there. She was not in the corner, but she was far enough away from everybody where she could do her thing and nobody messing with her. Is that a good way of saying that?
Yes.
She's busy. Don't come mess with her. But anyway, I am honored to have y'all on the show this morning because I ran across Dr. Wright at a clinic that was opened up on the south side. And she said, I haven't forgot about you, Ron. I was not worried about it and everything. And then she reached out to me and said, hey, I need to come on and talk about a program she got coming up. And, you discussed this with me a while back, but now reality done set in, Dr. Wright, and it's actually moving and grooving. Uh, so both y'all introduce yourself first before we get started so all the listeners know who you are.
All
Go
righty.
ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Gloria Wright. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner by profession. I am fortunate to be with Pinnacle Career Center today. So I will let Miss Angie take it on from there.
Good morning, listeners. My name is Angie Garza. I'm a registered nurse, mastered in nursing education, and right now I'm the director for Pinnacle Career Center, which is a brand new school that, to the vision of Dr. Wright, wanted to put something out in the community to train future healthcare providers to be the best and most efficient. And so that has come to fruition. I'm very excited about this program and this school. We have many more programs that we're setting up for alignment to get started. I'm happy to say that we just recently, last Monday, graduated our first cohort of certified nursing students. Yay!
Wow.
And as of yesterday, we have a 100% employment rate.
Ooh, outstanding. I like hearing that. So
Yes.
let me ask you something. What inspired you to create a support this summer for the CNA program?
So we know that summer's coming. School is already, the high schoolers are coming at the end of their school year, and summertime, sometimes they want to do something, but they're not really sure, or somebody that's interested in healthcare. So we're providing a special discount for our program for these particular groups of students, potential students that want to get into healthcare. It's the quickest way to get in. It's only a 4-week program. So they'll be in and out before the summer's even over, so they'll still have time to do some fun things over the summer, but also get their foot in. The serious ones that are just about to graduate, start their careers in a healthcare environment. So that's what Dr. Wright wanted to put together this particular special. We do have a class starting on May the 11th, and that class is mostly geared for that particular event that we're trying to get started for the summer.
That is a critical need here right now. Besides mental health, and then nursing is right below that. There's a critical need out there, and kids do not want to go to a 4-year college.
Correct.
Because they feel that's taking their time. I talked to some high school students the other day. They have no clue what they want to do once they get out of school. And one of them said it's not college because it's too expensive.
Mhm.
So this is a career that we're looking at right now. You're going for. So my next question: who is this program designed for?
It's really designed. The program itself is designed for anybody that either has been interested in healthcare, they're maybe working another job, or they're retiring. I've had retirees come in, second, third careers in their lives. It's just really anybody that wants to give back, to humanity and their fellow, citizens, and who's just interested in helping. But we are mostly geared for, you have to be a high school graduate at least. There's some requirements that if they go to our website, which is www.pinnaclecareercenter.com, it has all the information, and it also lists the programs that we're really excited about that we're coming on board. Our next one is going to be medication aid. So that's another exciting need here in the community. I work somewhere on the weekend as a supervisor, and they are so invaluable, the medication aids, to the nurses being able to do their other duties. So we're excited about that program. But really, to answer your question, it's anybody that wants to put their foot in healthcare in a short amount of time and, just start helping, But so that's really about it. As far as what they'll make, at minimum coming out, our minimum wage is what, 7.25 right now, I think, an hour.
Yes.
But they will actually CNA start at almost double that, if not more. So that's another kind of leading point of, like, you're going to get this short term career, but you're going to be making almost double minimum wage, which is what young people are interested about. What are they going to be earning for their time?
Hmm. That's so important. So important.
Right.
So, with them getting into that course, what skill will a student need to learn in the course?
So we teach our course is a little bit more intensive than a typical CNA course where they just teach them how to bathe them, feed them, dress them, move them. My program, I set it up to pique their interest into going further into healthcare, meaning like a nursing career. So I teach, they learn basic patient care, head to toe care, meaning feeding them, dressing them, bathing them, of course, changing them. Their environment, their bed and their environment, keeping it clean and safe. But they also learn about anatomy and physiology, some signs and symptoms of the most popular diseases, unfortunately, in San Antonio are diabetes, congestive heart failure, COPD, and stroke. So, my program teaches them to recognize some of the signs and symptoms of those disease processes while they're out on the floor so that they can immediately get help for that patient, to call the nurse and say, hey, this is going on with this patient. These symptoms are going on. And I call it a cluster of three. If you see three things going on, you need to go get your nurse immediately, not wait till the end of the day to report it. So it's kind of critical thinking is a skill that we teach. I tell people we all know how to critically think. We just don't realize that we're doing it
Yeah.
by what we decide of when we get paid, what's due, what's more important. That's critical thinking. And that's something that we teach in this program as far as it applies to healthcare and the patients that they're going to be responsible for. So that's kind of what we're teaching them how to be: responsibility, advocate, and, just be accountable.
No, I like what you said, knowing the signs. There's everyday people walking past people that don't notice the signs. I was watching a program one time, and this individual, it was a newscast, had a stroke on the air.
Wow.
And people noticed that sign right away and cut to commercial. And later on, he made it, but somebody in the studio recognized the sign. And
Right.
and so how can it be? I know it's a loaded question I'm going to ask you, but should everyday people know the signs of what's going on, even around total strangers?
It's something that would be great, that if everyday people would, but people are so, you can walk by people every day and not even pay attention. If you ask somebody that you walk by, what were they wearing? You're like, what? Because they're not that attentive to what they're doing. But healthcare people, we're watchers. Like, I'm a nurse. I watch. Even in the grocery store, I'm watching as I'm shopping and just keeping my eye open. Gloria's laughing because we do, and I've been known to go up to people and say, hey, you might want to go talk to your doctor about, just, it's just my nature. I'm just nosy and curious. But healthcare individuals are, we are that. We are watchers. But I do agree with you that it would be really great if the general population had some kind of just basic training. They don't have to know the ins and outs of what's happening at the cellular level or what's happening at this, but just the
Right.
basic signs to watch your fellow man. Like, hey, that person doesn't look quite right. Maybe X, Y, and Z is going on. But it doesn't happen. But yes, I wish that our world was a little bit more open to that. But people are like, I don't have time to learn that. I've got my own job, my own business going on, and it's unfortunate. But
And
yes, you do have a great idea that it would be great to learn just basic signs of things to be able to lend a hand when an emergency is happening.
Yeah.
And if I
Yep.
may piggyback off of that, because you have to keep in mind, identifying those symptoms, they shouldn't be rocket science, right? They shouldn't be something that, oh, I didn't go to school for that. No. We at Pinnacle Career Center also offer CPR training, BSL, which is something that is just a basic life-saving skills, right? And BLS. So we say, come on, even if you're not looking to do the whole 4 weeks course and to understand, hey, what does it take to care for someone and all the other process, you can simply come on just to do your BLS or the CPR training. And we either come to office, if it's a group setting, we come to the location, or if you want to bring the group to our campus to do the training as well. So if, be it for the CNA or the CPR, BLS, we have all of those trainings that we can provide, and that one is but a few hours a day, and then you're done, and you have your certificate, and you can identify the symptoms. Just wanting to share that as well.
I'm gonna share a story with y'all. About 15 years ago, I was at a restaurant. I was eating. I just ate. I was feeling fine. Then all of a sudden, I just felt lightheaded for some reason. I didn't know what was going on. I told my wife I didn't feel good, and and I did not know it. But at the time, there was two nurses sitting behind us in the booth, and all of a sudden, I fainted. And before I hit the ground, somebody jumped across the table and grabbed me. The nurses said they seen some signs of what was going on with me. And I'm a type 2 diabetic. I took my medicine. I did everything I was supposed to. I did everything by the book. But my sugar level just bottomed out for no reason. We found out why. But at that time, the two nurses flew across over there and went into action. And when I finally woke up, there was a glass of orange juice right there for me. Everything was right there. I did not remember anything falling out. But I remember those nurses, and I thanked them because they seen something that nobody else seen. So that's why I
Yeah.
could contest to that. That yes, you could see signs, and they didn't know who I was. They were just total stranger. They just jumped into action. And I appreciate that them doing that. But after that, I got my checkup and found out the medication I was getting was the dosage was too much. No matter what I ate, my sugar level just bottomed out. So I,
Right.
I adjusted that. I haven't had that problem anymore. So,
Good.
but
Good.
but but yes, what you say about knowing the symptoms and seeing what's going on is part of the problem. And like you said, Angie, part of the problem is people do not want to get involved anymore. They're so scared to be sued. They're so scared of retaliation. Like there was a time when somebody helped somebody and with CPR and cracked a rib doing it. They want to sue the person for cracking the rib, but yet the person lived. Where is
Yeah.
common sense anymore?
Well, the good thing about that now is I'm assuming because sues happen, wanted to happen so often, is we have what's called a Good Samaritan law. And as long as you're not doing something that's beyond your scope of practice, like every practice has rules and regulations, right? And the different levels of nursing have scope of practice. Like I'm an RN, yes, but I'm not an advanced practice nurse like Dr. Wright. So my scope of practice is limited to my RN masters, where hers has advanced practice. So I couldn't do what she does as far as writing prescriptions and counseling because I'm not in mental health. But every level has its scope of practice. But as long as you are out in the everyday world and you do what you can do, as long as you don't pass that scope of practice, like I couldn't do a tracheotomy, like those emergency ones. I can't do that, right? But if I can help, like they helped you, getting you positioned so you didn't hit your head when you fell, making sure you had the orange juice, and I'm sure there was sugar in the orange juice,
Hmm.
things like that. That's within our scope of practice. And the Good Samaritan law covers you so that you can't be sued.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing things within good faith, not maliciously trying to hurt somebody, but save them, you should be covered by that Good Samaritan law.
Okay. So, with this going on, what you're doing, how can this training help someone begin a healthcare career quickly?
Well, it's a 4 week program, like I said. We do 2 weeks in class, and then we do 2 days of CPR, like Dr. Wright said. It's part of the program. Our program is set up so that there is nothing that they need to not complete this program. We have the textbooks, we have their uniform for clinical, we have their supply kits, the blood pressure cuff, the gait belt, all the little tools that they need in the working environment. Plus, they get their CPR into the program. And we also pay for the state exam because at the end of it, there's a state exam that they have to take to actually be certified. They complete the program, but they're not certified yet through the state. So our program is all inclusive. Plus, they always have access to me. I had a graduate, one of the little graduates, that just called me because she was having an issue with her first day of work. And I gave her some advice of what to do and who to go and follow chain of command, what she learned in the classroom. And so it's the quickest way to get in. You're actually in the second part of it, we're going out to clinical sites where you're actually what you learn in class, You're actually working with patients, live patients, not pictures in a book anymore, and you're going to start to see some of the disease process that we talked about, some of the communication issues that we talked about, some of the behaviors that we talk about in the classroom, with the dementia and Alzheimer patients. So they're going to get a real live experience before they even graduate. And that helps them understand, like, do I want to work in this environment or do I want to work in another environment, because they're introduced to other interdisciplinary team members, meaning the occupational therapy, the physical therapy, the respiratory. So they get to meet all these people, dietary, things like that. And they get to see, like, oh, maybe that interests me. So it's an opening to a different world of healthcare, and not just particularly nursing. It could be something that might pique their interest. One of the students actually is looking at going into physical therapy because she really enjoyed that part of the clinical training. So it's just a stepping stone, if you want to call it anything other than that.
So
And
I'm looking at. Oh, go ahead, Doctor Wright.
yeah, I was gonna say yes, Miss Angie really hit the nail on the head on the fact that it exposes them to different areas. Healthcare for a lot of people can be overwhelming. Oh my God, where do I stop? How do I go? This is an entry level. It gives you the opportunity from a easy standpoint, not the pressure standpoint, easy standpoint of, do I really like this? Where do I want to advance to? So say for example in the CNA program, a lot of people thinking, oh, I'm just going to be stuck with old people. No, right? That's not how it is. You
No.
can be in a hospital setting as a, what they call them, patient care assistants, right? You can, when you're done, go into the hospital, you're working with patients. You can finish, be in the group homes, nursing homes, or just maybe as a caregiver that is skilled with advanced at least training than just someone who's home with grandma, right? And so those are the different areas people can go, and it gives reassurance to the care receiver, or the family members, to know that these people have received a certain level of training that gives them exceptional ability to care for this person. So it really opens a lot of doors for those who are looking into the healthcare field, or just want to be a little bit more knowledgeable about the care for their loved ones or those that they care for.
I was gonna say that when you mention they go out to the centers and do that, there's nothing no better than having real life experience doing that, because you behind a text. See, this is what we call, when I went to school for computers, Microsoft certification, all that stuff. We got a thing we call people a paper cert, where they could take a test, they could pass it, but out there doing it is different. I'm gonna be honest, they can't do it. But as long as they behind the desk, they could do that. But as soon as you put them out there in the real world, they stumble, they fall, and they panic and all that. So what you're doing, I think it's great for them to get out there and see exactly how everything works, and everything goes on. And do you have, how can I put it, the stomach for it? Because
Yes.
it's some things that going out there that the average person cannot do or will not do, because, oh, I don't have the stomach for that. So
Yes.
when you get out there and you see things that you don't see. So how do you talk to your students about that? It's going to be some things that you're going to see that may be upsetting to you.
Yeah.
They will see some things like, wow, I didn't know all this and all that. So how do you talk to students about that?
Well, a lot of it is my own personal life experience. I've been a nurse for 29 years and I worked in long term care. That was my first job out of nursing school. I did that for, oh gosh, a good 9 years altogether. I did hospice as well. And I did let them know that even though the people that they're going to take care of during their clinical rotation are living in a facility, they can be hospice patients as well, because that's their home. So we talk about all those different things that they may see. They may be seeing someone that is transitioning, passing, they may see someone that has a big, ugly wound. And we talk about those things. And the way I talk about it is from my personal experience, because where we go to clinical, one of them is where I work on the weekend. So I'm very familiar with all the residents. So I know who they can approach and who is more apt to letting the patients, students work with them. But when they ask me questions and they're interested in, like, that wound care patient that I have, I will let them know and I go show them and I tell them this is what we're doing and this is how we're trying to heal it. And so they're more familiar with, like, not be shocked. They're not going to see it as they move out of this clinical rotation and into working. Some of it is the behaviors, and I'll explain to them, I had a patient that X, Y, and Z, and this is how we manage that behavior. So a lot of it is like me bringing my life experience into the classroom. And then when we're at the clinical site, telling them this patient does this, this, and this is how we're going to manage it, and this is what the patient will let you do for them. To the extent of they don't want a student or they love students, it just varies. But my 29 years of nursing has a lot to do with what we talk about in the classroom to prepare them for the clinical, and then when we get to the clinical, because like I said, it's where I work on the weekends. I'm very familiar with the residents and their temperaments, so that helps a lot too.
See, my son is in the medical field. He started off working in the emergency room, and then
I love
he,
the
yeah, and then he turned around and got into this coding. I said, "What you talking about coding?" He got in that, learned how to do all the codes and everything, and he loves that. So he moved on to that right there. But he did tell me that is one thing when you went in there, and there are a couple of people that do this. They get attached to the patient. And,
yeah.
and he said, Dad, that's the worst thing you could do because once that person transition out, personally, it affects them personally. So
Yeah.
how do you talk to the students about being attached or don't get attached?
It's not it's not anything that you can control, unfortunately. I've been over the years attached to many patients, and I do tell this story to the students in class. I had one patient, his name was Charlie, and he came to my facility, and nobody ever came to see him, and he came because he had end stage cancer, and he was very shut down when he came to us. But every day I would go in and give him a big smile and, come on, Charlie, let's get up, and try to motivate him. And little by little, he started opening up to me, because I was a consistent person, trying to be nice to him, trying to get him motivated. And as he got worse, he started shutting down again. But as he got closer, and I know he got closer, I worked Monday through Friday, and I left on a Friday. And before I left, I always said goodbye to him. And I said, okay, Charlie, if you need me and they need to call me, let them know to call me. I will come whatever time you need me to come. And he's like, oh, no, honey, that's okay. I'll be back on, you'll be back on Monday. And I said, he goes, but I'm tired. And I said, Charlie, and it's not that permission of letting them transition because he had no family that would come. I guess I became that for him. And I said, Charlie, if you need to go, it's okay. You're tired. It's okay. You can go. And he's like, thank you. And then when I came back on Monday, they're like, oh my God, he's been so horrible all weekend. He's just like in a lot of pain. And I went in there and I said, I smiled. He goes, there's that smile that I've been waiting for. And I said, I'm sorry. You should have called me. He's like, I didn't want them to disturb you. I knew you were coming back. So he, like, I'm tired. I'm tired. I said, it's okay, Charlie, you can go. And within a few hours, he passed away. And that, I will never forget that. So you can't not get attached to your patients, even the ones that drive you crazy because their behaviors are repetitive because of dementia.
Yeah.
But you know that it's not them, it's the disease process. So that's what I talk about in the classroom. I give them those kind of life stories so they prepare, because you know you're gonna love them no matter what.
Yeah.
It's not gonna go away. I have a 104-year-old little lady right now that I adore her. If I could take her home, I would. She's alert and oriented, and I go in and I see her every morning. When I go on the weekends, and she smiles and she's like, "Hi," and she's talking to me in Spanish, and she's waiting for me. So you're not gonna not get attached. And the girls got to meet my little 104-year-old lady, and they're like, "Oh, she's so cute." And I was like, "Right, you can't not love her, but you can't." It's human nature, Ron, to
Yeah.
to you. I would be afraid of someone that didn't get attached at all.
Hmm.
That would be my fear. And I don't know, Dr. Wright, psychologically, that would be something that it's not natural to not get attached to people that you're caring for, because our nature of nurses is to care for people, not only physically, but the emotional comes along with it. Because sometimes you just have to go in and pat their hand and sit there with them. You don't even do nursing, so to speak. It's just being another human being to another human being. So you can't not teach them not to care
Okay.
or get attached. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Dr. Wright, you want to chime in on that?
Sorry, I was muted. But yes, I mean, every field in nursing, I tell you, because you go first with your heart before you go with your skills. Because if you go with the skills and the heart is not there, it's not nursing. It's not. The heart has to be there. And once the heart is involved, that's it. You have no way out but to basically be there 110. So that personal attachment part, it just takes a level of understanding to say, okay, this is what I have to do, but I am still looking at this person from a human perspective, right?
Mhm.
And as you are providing that service, you're looking at them, like Miss Angie said, you now understand you're no longer just a caregiver. You are now a part of this person's life. You are part of their family, so to say. And imagine her telling that person to say, you know what? It's okay. And finally, him saying, okay.